Welcome to the Explainer. Okay, let's just dive right into this massive multi-year list of books and authors. If you've ever glanced at the general awareness syllabus for competitive exams, you already know that the sheer volume of publications from 2018 all the way up to 2026 can feel, well, incredibly overwhelming. It's like a giant puzzle. But today, we're going to transform that seemingly endless chronological data dump into a highly strategic, totally manageable study guide.
Look, the absolute crucial point here is that questions about books and authors consistently account for 2 or 3 vital marks in the general awareness section. And in the high-stakes world of competitive testing, where literal decimal points can determine your entire career trajectory, securing these 2 or 3 marks isn't just some nice bonus. It's an absolute necessity.
These specific marks matter the most when you're sitting for the heavyweights. We're talking the Railway Recruitment Board, the UPSC, the Staff Selection Commission, or major bank exams like IBPS. Having this specific knowledge locked down gives you an immediate, undeniable edge over the competition, mainly because examiners across all these different boards share a unified, recurring love for testing literary knowledge.
To tackle this whole shebang, here's our game plan. We'll kick things off with the general awareness edge, move to magicians who conjure worlds, review the award-winning masterpieces, examine politics, power, and history, look at icons, athletes, and memoirs, and finally wrap up with mastering the exam syllabus.
All right, let's get into Section 1, the general awareness edge and how we actually secure those high-stakes marks.
Now, what's genuinely fascinating here is that the source material isn't just some random assortment of titles dropped by publishers. When you actually step back and look at the 8-year span from 2018 to 2026, a totally predictable roadmap of genres emerges. You see, examiners aren't just picking books out of a hat. They're actively selecting works that reflect current events, massive cultural shifts, and major global milestones. Once you see that pattern, the syllabus shrinks dramatically.
Moving right along to Section 2, magicians who conjure worlds. Let's look at the philosophical framing of our syllabus.
Before we start memorizing titles and authors, we really need to pause and understand exactly why literature holds such massive weight in civil and banking exams. I love how the source poetically frames this. Authors are magicians, and their written works have historically been the ultimate catalysts for social change. Examiners test this material because books quite literally shape the very society that you are applying to serve as a public official.
Think about it. By crafting these unique voices and narratives, authors spark real movements for social justice. They challenge oppressive systems, and they champion human rights. Understanding this philosophical framing makes it so much easier to predict which books might actually show up on an exam. Basically, if a book has recently sparked a major cultural conversation or shed light on an important historical triumph, it absolutely belongs on your study list.
So let's jump into Section 3, the award-winning masterpieces, aka the absolute examiner favorites.
Let's pull up our first major chunk of data and see exactly how this builds your score. These frequently asked questions, pulled directly from our source material, outline the international and national literary awards that examiners love to test on repeat. You've got Damodar Mauzo taking the Jan Peeth Award in 2023, Margaret Atwood's The Testament securing the Booker in 2019, alongside Joka Al-Harti's Celestial Bodies for the International Booker. Then there's Vastev Moi's Checkbook taking the Saraswati Saman, and Richard Powers' The Overstory winning the Pulitzer. The rule of thumb here, if an author bags one of these specific awards, bam, their name goes straight to the top of the test maker's pile.
But notice the wild contrast in what actually gets tested. You've got to be equally familiar with groundbreaking translated fiction, like Gitanjali Shree's Tomb of Sand, which made massive waves when it was shortlisted for the International Booker in 2022, as you are with hardcore military strategy, like General Manoj Mukund Naravan's 2024 release, 4 Stars of Destiny. The scope of your awareness needs to be incredibly wide, shifting seamlessly from high-end literary fiction straight over to domestic defense strategy.
Which brings us perfectly to Section 4, politics, power, and history. Let's take a look at leaders in print.
Another massive trend we have to recognize is the high volume of books authored by or written about political figures. And this spans the entire political spectrum neutrally. prominent leaders consistently release heavily tested books. Just look at this timeline. From Amit Shah's Karma Yoga Granth in 2020 and Smriti Irani's Lal Salam in 2021, to VP Venkaiah Naidu's Modi at 20 in 2022, Shashi Tharoor's Ambedkar, A Life in 2023, and MJ Akbar alongside K. Natwar Singh with their 2024 book on Gandhi. Regardless of what side of the aisle they sit on, when a major political figure publishes a book, you better believe examiners take note.
And hey, it's not just memoirs by politicians either. It's also comprehensive political histories. Consider Srinath Raghavan's 2025 release on Indira Gandhi and the years that transformed India. You absolutely don't need to agree with the politics of any given era to know that these deeply researched historical reflections are absolute goldmines for exam setters. They are testing your awareness of the nation's political evolution. Okay, time for Section 5, Icons, Athletes, and Memoirs. We're talking personal triumphs on paper.
Let's pivot entirely to a completely different but equally vital category: the autobiographies of athletes and global pop culture icons. Tracing the years from 2018 to 2025, there's an undeniable pattern focused on personal memoirs. You've got cricket legends like VVS Laxman with 281 and Beyond, Suresh Raina's Believe, and Shikhar Dhawan's The One. You've got global Bollywood stars like Priyanka Chopra Jonas with Unfinished. You even have international royalty with Prince Harry's highly publicized memoir Spare, which was ghostwritten by J.R. Moheringer in 2023.
So, what is the ultimate takeaway here? Simply put, examiners want you to know who is shaping modern pop culture and public life, not just who is writing traditional literature. If a national cricketer, a member of international royalty, a leading actor, or even a high-ranking civil servant releases a memoir, it immediately becomes highly testable material. They want well-rounded candidates who are actively engaged with the broader world around them. Finally, we hit Section 6, Mastering the Exam Syllabus and Mapping Out Your Strategy Moving Forward. So how do we actually consolidate all of this massive data into a winning study strategy? Honestly, it comes down to 3 clear steps. Step 1, memorize those major award winners like the Janpith, Booker, and Pulitzer. Step 2, track the big nonfiction releases by political and military leaders. And Step 3, note down the autobiographies of those key sports figures and global icons. By following these 3 steps, you're effectively breaking an intimidating 8-year list into a logical framework that your brain can actually retain when you're under exam pressure.
And that brings us to the core secret sauce of this whole explainer: thematic chunking. It's a study technique where vast, frankly boring chronological lists are grouped into recognizable patterns, like awards or sports, to maximize your memory retention. Using thematic chunking is exactly how top-tier candidates secure those 2 or 3 general awareness marks without wasting countless hours on sheer brute force rote memorization. It's all about studying smarter, not harder.
Which leaves us with one final thought. As we look ahead to the upcoming exams of 2026 and beyond, keep your eyes peeled on the news. Apply this thematic framework to current events and ask yourself, which of today's magicians will conjure the world's tested tomorrow? Keep your study structured, stay deeply curious, and you will absolutely nail those marks. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you on the next one.